Good morning. Thanks for being here this morning. Thanks for joining us online. We appreciate everybody very much. In fact, we're in a series called Operation Everybody, and that's our message for a while here. We want to make sure that we can encourage everybody. We need everyone, and you have a valuable role to play in God's work here. Thank you, Susie, for the thoughts for communion that you shared, and thank you for all those that read that passage. It's a pretty long passage, but there's a lot of good stuff in there about Operation Everybody, isn't it? Paul uses that analogy of a body and how the church should work similarly with ears and eyes, hands and feet, various gifts, but one Spirit. All are needed. I want to share another analogy with you this morning using the Mercy Heart Hospital team. There's many roles, all are needed there, and that's because I had heart surgery there this past January. And so let me share some of that journey and the helpful folks that were there for me along the way. It started about a year ago, actually, when I found it harder and harder to run, and my exercise routine was getting more difficult. And then I got COVID last fall, and I took a complete 2 to 3 week break from exercising and running. And when I got back to that effort, I could do some of it, but I could not get back to that level that I was at before. Something was wrong. And that became obvious, but I didn't know what. Was it a COVID-related thing? Am I just getting old and I need to own it? What was it? So I went to the doctor, and I was diagnosed with AFib, atrial fibrillation. And so that's an irregular heartbeat. And so my doctor referred me to a Mercy cardiologist, specialist in electrical problems with the heart. And so I knew the heart hospital was there. It's the old St. Anthony's, 270 and Tesson Ferry, if you've been around for a while. But I didn't know much about it. Went there, had more tests done. They actually fixed my AFib with a shock called a cardioversion. And so that was great. But that doctor noticed in his testing that I had a mitral valve problem. And it's more than the prolapse. I've known since I was 30 that I had a mitral valve prolapse. That's the mitral valve on the left side of the heart between the atrium and the ventricle. Didn't come together quite right, causes a slight murmur. It's never caused me any problems. It's called asymptomatic. It's not really that rare. But now something was wrong, more wrong with my mitral valve. They referred me to another cardiologist for a more detailed analysis. What's really going on with all of my heart? And it was a big problem. My mitral valve was deteriorating. I had an enlarged atrium. That's probably what caused my AFib, was this mitral valve issue. We talked through the options, and the cardiologist had a really strong recommendation for surgery to either repair or replace that valve right in the middle of my heart. So he referred me to a surgeon, another cardiologist specialist. So I checked the website for this surgeon, Dr. Umram Ahmad. Very experienced, does a lot of these kind of surgeries, highly rated, lots of positives. So we set up a visit. He showed me the echo or the ultrasound of my heart and the way that valve was behaving. And the good news was that he believed he could repair it, but it was an open heart procedure that he does. And he'd be ready to replace the valve if it needed to, but he'd try to repair it. So this was a big deal, and I could see, that valve not coming together or my ejection fraction. I'm talking like a doctor here because, you go through this, you learn a lot. But so you got any questions, ask me after the service, right? An open heart procedure, that was a very sobering recommendation. I had lots to think about. I had to come to terms with the scope of my problem and what could be done about it. What was the solution? So Amy and I spoke with Sarah Buehrer. A lot of you know her, a former member here. Her husband, Mark, had heart surgery a number of years ago. He has passed along since from a different problem, but Sarah is a physical therapist, and she shared their experience and what it was like for Mark, what he had gone through, and she actually recommended a second opinion surgeon. We knew we were going to want a second opinion for something this significant, but her brother had just gone through surgery the month before, and she was his medical kind of liaison, and this surgeon really impressed her. So that was a really nice recommendation for another opinion. We also spoke with Arstine Dickerson, our member here. Appreciate you, Arstine. We have been able to ask her about the procedure she had about a year ago that was very similar. What was the experience? And she gave me the good and the bad, the worthwhile, but, just laid it out. Very much appreciated that. Excuse me. Then we went and got the second opinion from that surgeon. He confirmed the diagnosis, he confirmed the severity of my problem, and the open heart surgery approach that he would take. Now, I was looking for an off-ramp here. There's another way to deal with this thing. That would have been welcome to hear, but it was also comforting just to realize, okay, we are getting good advice. We are on the right track. This was very affirming. This is the right thing to do, and helped move us to that decision. So we did schedule the surgery with Dr. Ahmad. Well, before the surgery, you meet with the nurse practitioner for the anesthesiologist. They explain the process, what the anesthesiologist does, and how that works. How do they keep you alive when they're doing all this stuff to you? The expectations, the risks, and who's your surgeon? Oh, Dr. Ahmad, he's very good. That was nice to hear, very affirming. Then you also meet with the nurse practitioner for the surgeon, and they talk about the preparation for the surgery and the things that you need to do leading up to it, the procedure, the timing. And by the way, Dr. Ahmad is really good. That's why I work with him. He does a lot of this. He's very good. So we get to the day of the surgery. And again, I'm going through all this. I want you to see all the people involved in helping me and blessing me through my healing here. There was a check-in clerk on the day of surgery. First person you meet, it's 5 a.m., start of the day. Very nice, tells me the sequence of events, where I'm going to go, when Amy can join me before the surgery, and such. And looked up, who's your surgeon? Dr. Ahmad. Oh, he's very good. So then I go back there, I change into the gown. There are 3 prep nurses helping me get ready, shaving my chest, swabbing me with alcohol, all those things, putting in an IV, asking questions about all the prep. Did I do what I was supposed to do leading up to the surgery? They're very encouraging and helpful. Then a surgery nurse comes and wheels me to the operating room, tells me who's going to be there on the way, very chatty, quite the maze it seemed like to get from prep to surgery. But anyway, that was very helpful because I wouldn't have found it. And then you get into the operating room, excuse me, and there are a couple of more surgery nurses. I'm an old Boy Scout, so I was prepared. See if that helps. There's a couple of surgery nurses there, and the anesthesiologist is there. They were waiting on the surgeon. They try to keep conversation. It's lighthearted. They try to be chatty. They confirm the surgery plan. When you get in there, the anesthesiologist asks you, so what are you here for? Well, I'm glad they did that, part of the protocol and everything, but it does take you back just a little bit. So, I'm here to get my mitral valve repaired or replaced by Dr. Ahmad. Okay, you're in the right place. Anyway, they're chatting, talking about a fishing trip or something, trying to keep the mood lighthearted. I'm not really listening. I'm actually praying for them that they'll do a good job, and the surgeon here. I'm in the operating room. And then it occurs to me, and I also start praying, thanking God for the team that scrubbed this room. It is pristine, it is chrome, it is white, it is shiny and bright, and I'm thankful because I didn't want an infection, the risk of that. And so praying for them. then the surgeon comes in and was able to repair, not replace my mitral valve. The actual healing work that I needed was being done then. There'd been lots of lead up to it. There's going to be a lot of recovery after, but that's where what I needed, right in the middle of my heart, was done. Someone during surgery gave Amy an update every hour, so appreciated that very much. And onto the ICU after surgery. Things went well. There are 3 shifts of nurses for 4 days, and I'm in the ICU for 4 days. They're closely monitoring me, giving me all the meds, encouraging me, taking really good care of me. Then the physical therapist shows up. 1 day after surgery, I've got to get up on my feet and move me over to the chair. That's important to do. Okay, but that person came alongside me and helped me to do that. And then the next day I needed to start walking, and a little more walking every day. That's the physical therapist, but a really vital role. There's a doctor and a nurse practitioner doing follow-up. They're visiting me every day, once or twice, in the ICU and after. Daily visits, encouragement, telling me about the next steps, what's going to happen, how am I tracking on the recovery plan. After 4 days, I go to a regular hospital room. There's nurses there, again, monitoring, encouragement. Who did your surgery? Dr. Ahmad. Oh, he's very good. Very successful, lots of times. Then a dietitian comes in and talks to you, gives you very practical advice about a low sodium diet. A change I was not looking forward to, but it's very important with not only high blood pressure, but carrying water weight's not good for your heart. So I learn all these things, and so the dietitian helps. And then there's a pharmacist who I never did meet, but you should have seen the 2 bags of meds that they loaded me up with when I left the hospital. So I appreciated the pharmacist that gave me the proper meds and all the instructions that came with it. And then a home health nurse comes and visits me for 10 weeks, once a week, monitoring, doing a blood test for my blood thinner, am I in the right range, and encouraging me and holding me accountable, and such, checking my weight, all of that. And then there's a cardiac rehab team. The doctors and the follow-up really encouraged me to get into that to start my exercise again. And so I did that for 8 weeks, 3 times a week. They're monitoring me, they're holding me accountable, giving me instructions and practical advice on what's too little exercise, what's too much exercise. All of these folks. I'm giving you all this detail to show all those roles of the Mercy Heart Hospital team involved in my journey and in my healing. And so afterwards, in thinking about it, I've had some observations about this experience. It really is very parallel to the church and having many roles but being one unit and helping someone on their spiritual journey to Jesus and healing. That's what we should be about. All the hospital staff were valuable, useful, and appreciated, but no one can do it all. And like the church body, it's needed in so many ways. There's so many things for us to do in Jesus' name. No actual healing occurs without the surgeon, healing for my problem anyway, without the surgeon doing what only he can do. So give me a little grace here. In my analogy, the surgeon is the Messiah figure by comparison, and I know he's not the Messiah, he wasn't a savior, but he was the one that was able to do what I needed. Only Jesus can heal us spiritually, and we have to keep that focus and remember that. We love people on their way to Jesus. We love people after their encounter with him. He's the one that heals. Before their baptism, someone encountering Jesus in baptism to be saved, before that baptism, we can help them understand their need for him. We can explain how he heals. We can show them in the Bible what we believe and why. We can share our experience. We can say Jesus is awesome, not just very good. share what to expect. We can encourage people on their way to that commitment, and we can do it over and over again. I needed multiple opinions and several people telling me and affirming what I needed to make the decision. During their baptism, we can be there. We can encourage in word and in song. We can praise God with them. We can hear their confession of faith, and we can affirm their decision. After their baptism, we can encourage, we can monitor, hold accountable, give practical advice, be there. We can check in on them. We can come alongside, support them, share the value and importance of taking the hard steps. We can be spiritually disciplined ourselves. We can help out, set an example, teach from the Word how to stay spiritually healthy. We can help them find their role in service to others, and we can keep growing and sharing. And on it goes, the things we can do. Not everyone needs a heart valve repaired or replaced, but we need to be reminded everyone needs their sins washed away and forgiveness that Jesus offers. Everyone we encounter at some stage is in some stage of their journey with Jesus, before, during, or after that healing. Can we be a church where everyone can come through those doors and get what they need spiritually? That takes a lot. Operation Everybody. That's what we're calling it. So let me encourage you with that. If someone shared that they knew something was wrong or missing in their life, would you point out that they need Jesus, like the doctors who diagnosed me and pointed out what I needed? Would you show someone in the Bible about Jesus, like the doctor who showed me the ultrasound and how much I needed the surgery? Would you help keep up the church website so people can learn about McKnight Crossings like I looked up the surgeon before meeting him? Would you share what Jesus means to you, like Sarah and Arstine shared their experience of surgery with me? Would you greet visitors warmly on a Sunday morning, like the check-in clerk greeted me and helped me before my surgery? Would you help people find the bathroom or class on Sunday, like the surgery nurse that wheeled me to the operating room? Would you help clean the nursery so visiting moms feel good about dropping off their kids, like those that clean the OR? Would you attend a baptism to help and encourage and support, like the OR assistants in my surgery? Would you tell someone Jesus is awesome, like those who complimented my surgeon over and over, genuinely complimented? Would you come alongside someone during difficult tasks, like the physical therapist who helped me to walk? Would you check in on members and see how they're doing, like the home health nurse that came and visited me? Would you join a connect group or a huddle group to help others grow closer to Jesus and to be accountable, like the cardiac rehab workers that helped me to exercise? Would you give a cup of water to someone, like Jesus said in Matthew 10 and in Mark chapter 9? Thank you for listening. I hope that helps our perspective on how we are all needed, we are all valuable in the effort that God is doing, and valuable to the person that He's pursuing. Thank you.